Each and every year down at the Senior Bowl, there are always 2 to 3 prospects that drastically improve their draft stock and go from maybe early day 3 picks to top 50 players in the blink of an eye. This year was no different, as multiple defensive players broke out in massive waves down in Mobile, but by far the biggest winner of the week was Toledo defensive tackle Darius Alexander. This is the second year in a row where it feels like we leave the Senior Bowl infatuated with the defensive player from Toledo, but Alexander was incredible, and his draft stock is skyrocketing as we speak. In a pretty loaded defensive tackle class, how high could we see Alexander get taken in the 2025 NFL Draft? That's what we will be going over in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide and big board, with all the analytics, stats, and measurements you need to be successful this draft cycle. It's one of the best resources I have, and I highly recommend checking it out if you enjoy my NFL draft content. Leave a comment on this video and let me know who you want to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Darius Alexander. Alexander is a 6th-year senior, but has been incredibly productive throughout his collegiate career. In 2023, Alexander finished the year with 46 pressures, 7 sacks, 19 tackles, and 23 run stops on the year. He went back to Toledo for one final season, and 2024 was another really solid season from him. He finished with 37 pressures, 4 sacks, 27 tackles, and 27 run stops on the year, and after an incredible week at the Senior Bowl where he was just physically dominating every offensive lineman he went up against, he's rising up draft boards pretty quickly. Athletically, Alexander is a really intriguing player. We saw it all week down in Mobile, but he explodes off the line of scrimmage. He has an incredibly explosive first step, and he moves so fluidly for a player who is 304 pounds. He also has great speed to get into the backfield, and is a very fluid and smooth mover for his size. Todd McShay said it best: when you watch Alexander play, he looks like he's 280 pounds, and you're shocked to find out that this is a guy that's well over 300 pounds because he's so quick, so fluid, and he just moves so well for the position. As a pass rusher, Alexander brings some serious juice from the interior. We mentioned the athleticism, but he shows some excellent pop with his hands, and he has fantastic hand counters. He shows a plethora of pass rush moves. His up and under moves seem to constantly work, and he knows how to bat away offensive linemen in order to get into the backfield and create pressure at a high rate, which I absolutely loved to see from him. But he doesn't just win with finesse. He knows how to convert his explosiveness into power, and he is a really strong bull rusher as well. Power transfers well to the NFL level, and Alexander does have some really intriguing upside as a power rusher at the next level. Alexander is not the biggest interior player at 304 pounds, but he has phenomenal length. He has 34-inch arms and 82.25-inch wingspan, which are fantastic numbers for his position. His size gives him a really unique versatility, and Toledo lined him up all over the line of scrimmage. Whether that's inside at 3 tech, even outside at edge, he is a really unique athlete, and I love how versatile his skill set is, and he can play anywhere at the next level. Alexander has some awesome potential, but there are a couple of areas that I noticed that I would like to see improve with him. For one, I felt like he had some issues at defending the run consistently. At times, he seemed like he was slow off the ball. He had good initial quickness, but he slowed down pretty significantly. He's a fine run defender, but you're drafting Alexander with the plan for him to be a 2-gap player at the next level. He's going to have to be a little bit better at dissecting run plays and just being quicker off the snap. I also noticed balance concerns. Alexander plays with inconsistent pads, and I felt like he ended up on the ground or looking way out of control, way more than I wanted to see from him. I would like to see that get cleaned up at the next level and him be a little bit more consistent in terms of his pad height and in terms of playing with more balance. Alexander was by far my biggest winner of the Senior Bowl. He had a dominant week on every front, both in practices and in the game. I love his pass rush potential, his measurements were fantastic, and I think he's an incredible athlete. He is my number 7 defensive tackle in the draft class. His blend of athleticism and power while also being a great pass rusher with finesse, it's rare to see, and Alexander has all of those traits. He's fantastic, and he's my number 58 prospect in the draft class. In terms of a scheme fit, while Alexander is a fantastic athlete and versatile, I think he works best as a 2-gap penetrator and a guy who can play between the guard and center and just wreak havoc with his quickness and explosiveness to get into the backfield. I think he could be one of the more productive rookies right out of the gate, not just because he brings experience, but because of his athleticism and because of his power. I think he's going to be really good at the next level because he is so good at shedding double teams. He's so athletic, and I think he's going to start really quickly into his NFL career. My player comparison for Darius Alexander is Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams. Williams is not the biggest defensive tackle in the world, but has been fantastic as a pass rusher and is a twitched-up athlete. Alexander has a lot of those same traits, with some elite athleticism and some pass rush upside, and I could see him serving a very similar role to what Williams has been for the Eagles over the past couple of seasons. Darius Alexander is skyrocketing. He's got great athleticism, size, and versatility for the interior of the defensive line. I think he's got some incredible sky-high potential at the next level, and ultimately, I believe that Darius Alexander will be a top 2-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.